Michael McLemore thought he was raised in a loving home. That all changed when he was 15 years old and his parents divorced.
I was really angry with my mother. She had been unfaithful, and it hurt. It tore our family apart. I went to live with my brother. All we thought about was, going out and just having fun. I didn't want to be with my mother because I was so angry with her, and I didn't want to be with my dad because, well, he made me go to church.
And Michael wanted no part of anything that had to do with God.
God meant to me an angry being in the sky that was ready to cast down a lightning bolt at you at any opportunity that he could when you messed up.
But having pushed away God and his parents, Michael was left empty and without direction.
There was no kind of responsibility. It was just living a party lifestyle. I was dead on the inside, and I wanted to find something that would bring satisfaction to my life.
While in high school, Michael got a girl pregnant, so he dropped out of school and found a minimum wage job. Now the 16-year-old kid had adult responsibilities weighing him down.
I have a family that I'm trying to provide for, and I still had no direction. I had panic attacks constantly, and it caused anxiety, and it led to depression.
Then, his girlfriend left him and took their son. To cope, he turned to alcohol.
I got weary. I wanted to take the pressure off, and that's at the age of 19, I began to fall in love with this addiction of alcohol. It was around 2008 that I had gotten my first DUI. They did the field sobriety test, and that night they took me to jail. I knew my life was going to decline in that very moment. The only way of escape that I had was my addiction. Alcohol controlled my life.
A short time later, he met Mike Rollins at work.
He stands up in the middle of a safety meeting, and I mean, this is a construction site. You've got guys that all they talked about was sex, all they talked about was drinking and getting high. I mean, that was the workforce. He says, "Please respect me and don't take the Lord's name in vain in front of me." And when he said that, I respected him.
That respect quickly developed into a friendship, and they often talked during their work breaks.
I wanted to be like him. He was telling me about the things that took place in his life and how he had turned to God and how he no longer was addicted to these pain pills and how he was fighting addiction. And it was very compelling, but at the same time, I would go home to just nothingness. I would go home to depression. Even though Mike was giving me hope and speaking life to me and telling me about how his life was coming together, my life was still falling apart.
His friend gave him a Bible, but Michael threw it on his bed, afraid to find out what God would think of him.
Still in my mind, God was still this angry God in the sky that, he was ready to condemn you. I would come home from work and I would see that Bible on my bed and I wouldn't go near it. I wouldn't sleep in my bed. I wouldn't go in my bedroom. I just stayed away from that room. I was afraid of God.
A few days later, Michael came home from work ready for a drink, but he was out of alcohol. He started to leave to go buy some when a voice stopped him.
I just heard Michael stop, to the point where I looked around and I was like, is this really God? I just felt it again. I felt Michael stop. And there was such a presence of love. I can't explain it. And I remember asking God, what do you want me to do? I'm crying and I'm asking God just to help me. And he's saying, read, just read my word. I'll speak to you.
Michael got the Bible off his bed and started reading the New Testament. He discovered a loving God that he could know through Jesus.
And Jesus says, many in that day will say to me, Lord, did we not do many wonderful works in your name? And he said, and I will declare to them, I never knew you. And man, when I read those words, I never knew you, that's what he had to tell me. He had to let me know. He never knew me. He never had a relationship with me. Grabbed that Bible and I just started hugging it and holding it, crying out to God and saying, God, if you give me a chance, I'll give you every bit of my life. I surrender Just forgive me of my sins, forgive me of everything that I've ever done. I give you my life. And I remember I cried until about 2 o'clock in the morning. I cried myself to sleep. And I had such an encounter with God. He loved me. And he accepted me.
Michael started reading his Bible every day and going to church. He slowly grew in his relationship with God.
I still had the temptation of alcoholism. I still had court issues, and I didn't care about the issues because this relationship with God superseded every issue that I had. I knew as long as I had Jesus, I was okay.
Michael did a small amount of jail time and got help for his addiction. Today, he's a pastor and wants everyone to experience the joy that comes when they put their trust in Jesus.
God today is still performing miracles. I was stuck in addiction, and if God can save me, he can save anyone. Know that he will get you through because there's no other way, and he'll get you exactly where you need to be in your life so that people will see his power through you.